suspect any immigrants in the audience will know this. If you come from a particular kind of family, you don't become a writer, you don't become a musician, the expectation is you're going to become an engineer, you're going to become a doctor, you're going to become a lawyer. And so my degree is in computer science. I can't program my way out of a paper bag. I'm useless at it because I spent all my time at the student newspaper. And as a result, I had enough of a portfolio when I graduated that I managed to land an internship at the Globe and Mail. And so that paid the bills for 10 years, and also gave me a writing education. Like having your copy mercilessly edited by backdesk editors, deeply unsentimental backdesk editors, is a great writing education. It also gave me an education in the world. I went to see history happen in all kinds of places. All of those things made me a better writer of fiction, but I was always, in my heart, a writer of fiction. That's all I wanted to do with my life. And so when I sold my first novel, I thought, this is your shot. If you can't jump off the cliff now and hope that there's water at the bottom, you're never going to do it. And so the thing they tell you, the thing everybody tells you when you sell a book is don't quit your day job. And the first thing I did when I sold my book was quit my day job. But I will say that the best thing I ever did for my creative writing was my journalism career. And the best thing I ever did for my journalism career was my background in creative writing. Those antagonistic muscles really helped one another out. I used to think a lot more about author intent when it was my first rodeo. When I was writing American War, I thought that the central trick of the book was fairly see-through, right? I was taking things that were going this way and I was going to push them this way. I was going to take things that the West in general and the United States in particular had done to the world, and I was going to have them happen to them. I was going to superimpose somebody else's story onto the empire. But you can't call the book Middle Eastern War, because the second you do that, the lens through which it's read is entirely different. But I thought it was a fairly straightforward trick. The problem is that a month, and not even 3 weeks after I finished the first draft of American War, Donald Trump announces he's running for president. And the book ends up coming out in April of 2017, a few months into the Trump administration, and is overwhelmingly read as an exclusively American book. That this is a literal prediction of what's going to happen to this country. And all the critiques, all the criticism, all the praise is coming through that prism, which has nothing to do with what I intended. And that used to upset me quite a bit. And the older I get, the more comforting I find it. Even though there's always going to be this chasm between the book I wrote and the book that's being read, these things are going to outlive me, right? By definition. Even if they're just sitting on a library shelf somewhere collecting dust, they're going to outlive me. And if they're going to outlive me, it's nice that they should have as many different lives as possible. So I've sort of come to terms with that. The two sort of canonical pieces of writing advice they're canonical for reasons, because they work. Read as much as you can and write as much as you can. Read good books because they're going to give you a certain kind of permission. Read bad books because they're going to give you a different kind of permission. And write as much as you can, not so much to sort of get published or get a book deal, or, all of that stuff is commerce, and it should be separated from art. Write because a lot of writing is excavation. You have to dig through the bad writing to get to the good writing underneath. The first draft of anything I've ever written in my life has been complete garbage, just horrible. And I've always wanted to start a literary series, like a reading series, where published writers get up and they read a page of the finished product, and then they read the same page of the first draft, just to show people what it's like. I think there's an expectation among some writers who are either young or just beginning in their career that if it doesn't come out of your brain and is perfect on the page from the get-go, that it's somehow you're failing. That's not it. Thomas Mann has this very famous quote, a writer is someone for whom writing is more difficult than it is for other people. That's the experience, and never goes away. And in fact, if it does go away, something's gone horribly wrong. You've become complacent. So write as much as you can. To those two pieces of advice, I would only add, be kind to yourself. I remember when I was writing American War, I hit this spot where it wasn't working. And I was so angry at myself for having wasted years of my life on this that I deleted it. And I went to the recycle bin and I deleted the manuscript from the recycling bin. And then I took a long walk down to the river and I realized that I may not be a very good writer, but I'm so much worse at everything else. And the fact that I keep going back to writing, even though it kicks my ass, must mean something. It must mean that this is what I'm supposed to do. So I came back and I found an earlier draft. I lost 3 chapters permanently that day because I was an idiot about it. Don't do that to yourself. I don't win marathons because I'm a fast runner. If I win any marathons, it's because I have a high tolerance for blisters. When you're at the bottom of that valley, like at the beginning, the novelty of the project will carry you through. Everything's new and fresh. And when you're at the end, you're exhausted, but you can see the finish line, and that'll carry you through. When you're at the bottom of the valley, that's when most people drop out. And know that it's difficult and be kind to yourself. Otherwise, you won't get to that other side.